This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on National Legal Services Day, ensuring access to justice for all. The participants are Shreya Arora Mehta, Officer on Special Duty, National Legal Services Authority, and Gaura Dhawan Lal, Anchor.
Hello and welcome to our program. The 9th of November is celebrated as National Legal Service Day. Well, being legally aware, having access to legal aid or advice, and understanding how the law is positioned on the matter concerning you is critical for each and every one of us. So please join me in welcoming today Ms. Shreya Arora Mehta, who is a District and Sessions Court judge and who is also the Officer on Special Duty with Nalsa, which is the National Legal Service Authority. Ms. Shreya, welcome to the program. Please help us understand the role of Nalsa, and it is the nodal point for which service?
Thank you for having me over. So the National Legal Service Authority domain is under this Legal Service Authority Act, wherein there is a category of people who are entitled to free legal services. And that category includes women, children, scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, people who are in custody, persons with disability or mental illness, industrial workmen, transgender, victim of trafficking in human beings, beggars, or victim of mass disaster violence, or general if anyone is having income less than the prescribed limit. So this is mainly the domain of the Legal Service Authority. So under the National Legal Service Authority, if you see, so National Legal Service Authority is an apex body which is at the central level. Then there are legal service authorities at the state levels. Like we have different states. So at every state there is a state legal service authority. Under that state legal service authority, there are district legal service authority which covers the districts of that state. And in some districts, there are taluks. So there are taluk legal service committee. But herein also, in case the case which has to be filed, if it is not to be filed in the district court, then it do not pertains to the state legal service authority or the district legal service authority. Then it pertains to the high court. So for in high court and Supreme Court, we have High Court Legal Service Committee and Supreme Court Legal Service Committee. So this is our main area and domain with respect to the legal representation, number one, and then the legal advice. So we are a court-annexed legal service authority wherein anyone and everyone who requires a legal advice, if supposedly they receive a paper from the court and they do not know what to do about it. Because what we have seen is that in our country, people have fear of court papers.
Right.
They feel, what is it about? So when they get into that fear, I said, do not worry and do not run here and there. The first instant reaction I've seen in many citizens is to just simply refuse that paper. They say that nobody is at home, we cannot take that paper, take it back. So for that also is not the correct way. It's very important for citizens to be aware that accepting a court paper or a court notice does no harm. It is your response to it. And you need to know your response. And you can always know your response by dialing our national helpline number. You can understand that paper would itself state that whether you are required as a court witness or you are a prosecution witness. So you can always go. The court paper doesn't mean that the court will call you and just put you behind the bars. Not at all. So to that clarity, and you can always take legal advice from our national legal aid helpline number, which is 15100.
I'm just going to repeat it for our listeners, 15100.
Ji.
I picked up some words when you were answering the first question, which is free legal aid, marginalized sections, and I think accessibility. So if you could help us understand that, when a lot of people will say, oh, marginalized, listening to this program, maybe I'm not in it. So what proportion does it cover? Because in our conversation just before we walked in for this interview, you shared some very interesting stats. Do share them with us.
When it comes to these marginalized section, as it covers people, as it covers children and women, so it actually covers this more than 70% of our population. So when it covers 70% of our population, so we cannot say that it is only for the marginalized, and marginalized means something which is less than 50%. So it is 70% of our population. And even if for a person who does not follow in any of the categories, I'm sure this talk which we are having right now could be of assistance to them in the way so that they get strengthened in their day-to-day dealings. Because I've always seen when it comes to what I answered before also, when it comes to legal or court things, people have fear. And it's high time we need to get rid of that fear and follow the structure which it requires and follow as what it says.
You also mentioned some kind of hierarchy. There's a district level, there's a state level, and then the national level. So was somebody wanting to approach, suppose I write in a letter and I have some issue and I want information on that. What happens to my mail?
Supposedly, I am living in Delhi and I am living in an area in Delhi. We all live in a particular area. Let's not take Delhi. We can also take Bombay. We can take Gujarat. So you live in a particular area which falls in a district. And that district legal service authority is your go-to place. And if that district legal service authority fails to respond to you or is not responding you or you're not able to reach them, then it's the state legal service authority. But regardless, you can always reach at the central authority, which is the National Legal Service Authority. We receive many emails, we receive many calls sometimes sometimes we actually receive grievances that there has been no response, and sometimes we receive direct letters also. So there's no harm. You can also write it directly to us. We have a website. You can always Google National Legal Services Authority, and that Legal Service Authority website has portals. It has also the links to the State Legal Service Authority. The State Legal Service Authority websites have linked further to the District Legal Service Authority.
So one of the improvements, I believe, is that you have this whole team of legal researchers working who pay cognizance to every mail that comes in and direct it in the right way, because, they say justice delayed is also justice denied. Mm-hmm. So to cut out the delay, some improvements that have been made?
Yes, that has been done. So that's a very internal working style which we changed at the National Legal Service Authority. We have a team of trained law researchers who are experienced research officers. So now, and there are judicial officers also posted at National Legal Service Authority. So every email which is sent to us and every letter which comes to us by post, we try to basically a term called nip the bud, actually what that person is wanting. Because what we realized was there is a person supposedly is writing mails after mails and mails after mails, and then by the time he writes a 9th or a 10th mail, he then says that nobody is giving me a hearing, and then he gets into that complaint mode. And for that mail, we do not get to know what was the grievance. So to nip this bud, last year we had this SOP, and this was our internal work move which we did, so that we read each mail and we realize that what do that person exactly want. Like he wants a case to be filed in High Court or at district level, or he simply wants a legal advice, or maybe sometimes he requires a mere counseling. So to that extent.
So when we talk of free legal aid, and I think this would actually interest so many people to understand that if it's free, and you're saying nearly 70% of the population is covered with this, so legal advice, legal aid, to what level is it free? Is it free right till the end? They say that a medical emergency and a legal issue can bleed a family.
Very true. No, we have. So it's fully free of cost. To all levels it is free of cost. And in fact, I would pinpoint here, we have pro bono consuls also. Okay. We have some senior advocates like panel lawyers, which we call them panel lawyers. So sometimes in some cases we have very nice, some of the senior advocates at the level of High Court and also at the level of district courts, which we have said that we call them pro bono consuls. So they the panel lawyers assist them and brief them, and they appear for our parties. So It is to that level of expertise which can be provided to the parties.
Right. We'd also like to bring in here what Justice Kana, the executive chairman of Nalsa, has said about the justice system and Nalsa and the efforts it is making.
Almost 80% of the Indian population, 1.4 billion, is entitled to free legal aid. And how do we achieve this is through our panel lawyers, paralegal volunteers. We have a new name now for paralegal volunteers called Adhikar Mitra, and then through pro bono lawyers.
That was a sharing by Justice Kana. Meanwhile, moving on, Nalsa guides the people towards these interventions.
Yes, we do training and we do monitoring and mentoring as well. So this year for us has been an year of actually monitoring and impact assessment. So we take a lot of pride in today's day for our vision and mission of access to justice, because this year what we did was we did the monitoring of the District Legal Service Authority. We exactly started in the month January 2024, and by the time it was April, we changed our data collection form under the aegis of our Honorable Executive Chairperson, and then we took the best practices from the states, what some states are doing good in some area which some other state can copy. We did that, and we made some visits also so that it can be made, a reform areas can be made, and we keep doing training programs, and we keep taking data collection which we do, and we study the data. Like today's day has marked us, we are celebrating it, that this impact assessment made us learn that what all achievements have been done, But yes, of course, when you do this data analysis, we have lot to do and we have lot of homework and way forward to the areas where we require to work further hard.
So one believes there's always miles to go, and we are a very large and diverse country. But it's important also, I think, to celebrate. A pat on the back does go a long way in motivating the people who are actually working. Would you like to share some celebrations with us?
Yes, of course. For our people who work for us, for our State Legal Service Authority, in fact, yes, like unlike any other office, where the timings would be 10 to 5, I know our offices sometimes actually work because when central authority is working till late and we are collecting the data and we are studying the data and we are making the things because monitoring and mentoring is being now strengthened up. So yes, I would congratulate each one of the paralegal volunteers, panel advocates. I would congratulate all the judicial officers who are posted in the District Legal Service Authority, State Legal Service Authority for all the hard work they have put. And of course, with the pat at the back, of course. But then yes, we have way forward and we have to keep working hard on it.
Actually, what really happens is that we know that it's a drop in the ocean. But for that one person who's got legal aid, who's made it through this process, I think that drop has the ocean in it. And that's the most beautiful part about aid that comes, well-meaning aid. It can actually change a life. Therein lies the power.
There lies the power. You're very right. In fact, always feel that with your medium or anywhere, anytime, we really don't know who's listening to us right now and who feels like that, yes, I do not have to go to court. I do not wish to get into, because people do not wish to go to black courts and white courts quickly. So I am sure that someone will feel that, no, I need to get more aware or knowledge about what I'm facing. So basically, there is a quote of Chief Justice Warren E. Burger. He said that basically what we have to learn is we have to be healer of conflicts. So I always feel, and then conflicts when we live, when we work, when we living with passion also, conflicts do happen. And it's all right if a conflict has happened. But the approach has been for our authorities to heal those conflicts. So, and if someone who listens to us and wishes to reach us and to understand, to get a deeper understanding of what concern they have, they can always approach for legal aid, legal advice, legal representation, and also for the counseling services which we have and community mediation which we are furthering.
So normally disputes are solved and there's a lot of pressure on our courts for decision making and cases take a long time. So there's negotiation, there is mediation, and of course then there is litigation. So any other step in between where Nalsa plays an important role?
See, these are alternate dispute resolution mechanisms, and we have Lok Adalats. National Lok Adalats are convened. 4 National Lok Adalats in a year are convened. And this year, so far, we have had 3 National Lok Adalats. And if we see the figures of our National Lok Adalat, there has been a good disposal rate. So the quality of cases have gone up. So because initially what we noticed when the year started, that the number of cases which are listed before the Lok Adalat are much more. And the disposal, of course, is good disposal, but then the number of cases is so much. So we determined the financial implication involved. But today, after the 3rd National Lok Adalat, wherein we had disposal rate of 74%, so which shows that the quality of cases which were taken in Lok Adalat, so that of course is a pat at our back. But then apart from Lok Adalat, we have mediation centers, so which are court annexed mediation centers, and we have ADR centers other than mediation centers. So wherein we make sure that now the new act also talks about community mediation. So we are all working towards it, that mediation has to be at the forefront now. And the time will come that the mediation would be the first recourse for every citizen. And when I say that, so with that perspective in mind, we have recently launched a portal, which is an online mediation training portal. So initially, we just recently launched it. It's a pilot project. Right away, we are doing it with lawyers only with 10 years experience. As in when, with time, we would be introducing that to all citizens of the country. And we look forward to train as many people as community mediators.
Finally, before we say thank you, a message going out from you.
I would only say, please do not be fearful of anything, and not for courts. Courts are here for your cause, and be strong. And of course, any issue, any concern, feel free to reach our helpline, which is 15100.
Ms. Shreya, thank you so much for coming on to our program.
Thank you for having me.
You were listening to a discussion on National Legal Services Day, ensuring access to justice for all. The participants were Shreya Arora Mehta, Officer on Special Duty, National Legal Services Authority, and Gona Dhawan Lal, Anchor.